Carl took the fall for his best friend and spent 8 years in prison. When he got out, his friend was a rich CEO and his girlfriend was supposedly waiting for him. Carl thought he was starting over, but it was all a setup. Carl endured 8 long years behind bars for his buddy Zack. On the day of his release, his girlfriend Sophie was waiting at the gates, crying about how she missed him every month. Deeply moved, Carl promised to make it up to her. Then Zack showed up in a luxury ride to pick them up, and Carl sincerely thanked him for looking after Sophie. But the moment Carl stepped away, the two of them dropped their act. Turns out Sophie wasn't waiting for Carl, she was sleeping with Zack the entire time. They were only putting on a show to get their hands on a stash of gold Carl hid before prison, worth over $100 million. Hooking up right there in the car, they plotted how to trick Carl into revealing the location. Meanwhile, Carl interrogated a traitor named Damien in a basement and learned the brutal truth. Years ago, Zack sold him out to his rival, Scarface, ruining Carl's business in Chicago and getting their own men killed. Carl was furious, but he kept his cool. He called his trusted assistant, Rachel, planning to beat them at their own game, secure the gold first, then crush the traitors. To bait the trap, Carl intentionally leaked to Sophie that he was retrieving the gold in 2 days. Sophie took the bait and immediately called Zack. To make sure nothing went wrong, the twisted couple planned to lace Carl's food with a slow-acting poison to weaken him. Zack even planned to push Carl off a cliff once they got the gold. The next day, an impatient Zack disguised himself as a delivery guy to sneak into the villa to see Sophie. Carl watched everything from the shadows. To catch them red-handed, Carl pretended he had to run an errand. The second he left, Zack slipped inside and got busy with Sophie right in the living room. Outside, Carl just smirked, watching the live security feed on his phone. Moments later, Carl suddenly burst back in. Zack panicked and scrambled into the bathroom to hide. Carl took his sweet time in the living room, enjoying every second of Sophie, breaking into a cold sweat. Carl played dumb and left, letting Zack escape through the balcony, only to be chased like a stray dog by Carl's men. After that, Carl stopped playing nice. Armed with a dashcam recording of them plotting his murder, he confronted Sophie. Sophie tried to lie her way out, but Carl shut her down instantly. Just then, Sophie's greedy family showed up, planning her father's 60th birthday bash. They mocked Carl, calling him an ex-con, and demanded a massive payout for wasting Sophie's youth. To keep Carl compliant, Sophie slipped poison into his milk. Carl saw right through it, pretended to drink it, and promised to throw her dad the grandest party ever. Sophie secretly gloated, thinking her plan worked perfectly. Meanwhile, Zack and his thugs had already dug up the mysterious chest in the hills. Sophie got completely dolled up for the banquet. Over the phone, they gleefully coordinated to finish Carl off at the party. Little did they know, the stage was set for an epic revenge. The whole extended family piled into a beat-up van, arriving excitedly at the Grand Millennium Hotel for the big birthday bash. At the entrance, Aunt Brenda was blown away by the luxury, while Sophie stood there flaunting her designer clothes. Just then a sleek, top-of-the-line, Maybach pulled up to the curb. The door opened, and a young man in a black shirt stepped out. It was Carl. But the snobbish relatives immediately pointed fingers, mocking him as a dangerous ex-con who looked like trouble. Sophie's arrogant parents bragged to everyone that their wealthy CEO son-in-law was too busy, and that this ex-con was just his driver. Behind her parents' backs, Sophie pulled Carl aside and whispered, "Babe, it is my dad's big day. My parents just want to save face, so please play along as the driver. I'll make it up to you tonight." Irony was, this despised driver was actually Sophie's legal husband. Before she could say more, her snobbish mother yanked her away, warning her to stay away from a driver who brought bad luck. Worse yet, Sophie's cousin Tina was shoved by her own mother, Aunt Martha, to flirt with the driver just to get the rich CEO's number. Tina lost her footing and stumbled right into Carl's arms. This set Sophie off. She lunged forward, screaming like a lunatic at Tina for trying to steal her man in public to save face. Aunt Martha smacked her daughter and forced her to apologize. Carl coldly pushed Sophie away and defended the tearful Tina instead. But these fools had no idea that while they were humiliating Carl, Rachel had already stormed the hotel security room with bodyguards. Rachel slammed a thick stack of cash on the desk and forced the guards to pull up the hidden security footage from 8 years ago. The footage revealed a massive plot twist. 8 years ago, a college kid named Zack had accidentally wounded someone and begged for mercy on his knees. To repay an old favor, Carl stepped up without hesitation and took the fall, spending 8 years in prison for Zack. And that coward Zack not only slept with Carl's woman while he was locked up, but was now plotting with Sophie to wipe Carl out for good back at the banquet. The party was in full swing. Sophie had slipped a deadly poison into Carl's drink. Seeing him pass out on the table, she smirked, thinking it was over. Meanwhile, with the party winding down and the wealthy son-in-law still a no-show, the relatives started mocking the parents, saying the ex-con was their only son-in-law, making Sophie's mother slam the table in rage. Just as the family argument reached a boiling point, the VIP door swung open. A sharp-looking young man in a tailored suit walked in with a smirk, loudly announcing himself as the family's son-in-law. The relatives instantly changed their tunes, kissing up to this fake son-in-law like crazy. This guy was actually Zack, the real criminal. To show off, he proudly declared that dinner was on him, ordering lobsters, king crabs, and top-shelf liquor, while slandering Carl as a dangerous murderer. A drunk cousin named Jimmy stumbled over to hit him up, but Zack pushed him away in disgust. Zack then excused himself and rushed to a back room to meet up with Sophie. The two greedy snakes embraced, gloating that once Carl was dead, they would inherit his gold stash and take over all his underground businesses. But karma is a bitch. They had no idea Rachel was pulling the strings the entire time. Rachel had set a trap for the drunk Jimmy, tricking him into live-streaming his luxury dinner to show off online. Jimmy stumbled down the hallway, bragging to his stream, and accidentally kicked open the backroom door. Instantly, over 100,000 viewers saw Zack and Sophie half-naked in bed together on the live feed. The birthday party turned into a massive cheating scandal, and the furious family stormed the room. Even then, Sophie's parents and Zack tried to flip the script, pointing at a perfectly conscious Carl and accusing him of trying to assault the innocent. Sophie, Carl just chuckled, calmly mentioning that the hotel was renovated last month and hidden cameras were installed everywhere. Hearing the word cameras, Zack and Sophie lost it, frantically trying to stop them from playing the tape, even threatening to kill themselves. Just then, a bodyguard named Frank walked in and played the hidden footage on a tablet for everyone to see. The video clearly showed their affair, their plot to poison Carl, and their plan to steal his wealth. The family turned pale with fear. Before they could process it, the police busted in, throwing cold handcuffs on the trembling Zack and Sophie, arresting them for attempted murder. The villains were caught, but the show wasn't over. The waiter walked in with a massive bill, coldly announcing a total of $12.38 million. With their fake golden goose gone, Sophie's parents lost their minds, arguing over who would pay. That is when the police and Rachel dropped the ultimate bomb. The ex-con driver they had humiliated and tried to poison was actually Carl, the billionaire CEO of the Titan Group, and Zack, whom they treated like royalty, was just a cowardly criminal who begged Carl to take the fall for him. The snobbish family collapsed in absolute shock, weeping and crying in deep regret. They had treated a literal billionaire like garbage, while worshipping a total fraud. Amidst their desperate cries, Carl smiled softly at Tina for defending him, then walked out with Rachel and his guards, leaving the greedy freeloaders to face a multi-million-dollar bill they could never pay. At the party, Zack proudly cracked open a silver briefcase in front of everyone, revealing rows of gleaming gold bars. "Here is the cash." He smirked. The greedy family swarmed the box, their eyes popping out. The mother-in-law lunged forward, hugging Zack tightly and screaming, "My wonderful son-in-law, you are our savior." The father stared wide-eyed, while the relatives whispered that this stash was worth tens of millions. The brother-in-law kept kissing up to Zack, praising how incredible he was. They all thought they had punched a ticket to high society, but reality hit them fast. A waitress noticed something off, picked up a gold bar, and bit it. That single bite shattered their golden dreams. "Sir, this gold is fake," she said flatly. "What fake?" Zack's face turned pale. He snatched the bar, biting and scratching at it until the gold paint flaked off, revealing cheap wood underneath. Overwhelmed with rage, he slammed the briefcase to the ground, screaming hysterically, "Impossible! This can't be." As chaos erupted, Carl stepped forward with a smirk, pulling out an official gold release authorization form. Looking Zack dead in the eye, Carl said, "Zack, I authorized you to retrieve $100 million in real gold. Now it is fake. I have every reason to believe you stole it." Zack's eyes bulged as he screamed, "Bullshit, I never signed this or left a thumbprint." But Carl didn't play. Rachel stepped up, delivering the final blow. "Carl, and I watched you sign it. He trusted you to pick it up alone, and you were thrilled, trying to back out now." Carl handed the evidence straight to the cops. "Officer, the signature and thumbprint are right there, run the forensics." The officer took one look, cuffed Zack, and declared, "Zack, you are under arrest for attempted murder and grand theft of $100 million, take him away." Zack went totally limp as the cops pinned him down, realizing he'd been played. His face twisted in rage as he shrieked at Carl, "You set me up, I'll get you for this, I'll haunt you till the day you die." But he was dragged out like a stray dog anyway. Sophie collapsed on the floor, weeping and begging Carl for mercy. Carl looked down at his cheating ex with ice-cold eyes. 8 years of visiting me in prison, and it was all an act. Where was this loyalty when you drugged me and hopped into bed with Zack? Exposed and panicked, Sophie desperately blamed Zack, crying that he forced her. Desperate to stay rich, she even blurted out something ridiculous about getting plastic surgery, begging, "You love me, Carl, you'll forgive me, right?" Carl scoffed, saying he didn't care about her lies anymore. He was just disgusted that she spent his 8 years in prison wishing he'd die. She actually whined, "But you were locked up for 8 years. I was lonely. What did I do wrong?" Disgusted, the police hauled her away too. With both their golden geese locked up, the mother threw a tantrum on the floor, screaming insults. The father reached a new low, shouting, "Zack used to be your driver. What is wrong with him, looking after your woman? Why are you being so cold? I'll kill you, you ungrateful bastard." Just as the old man swung a fist at Carl, Victoria, who had been watching silently from the back, finally snapped. "Enough," she bellowed. She stepped forward, pointing directly at her relatives. "When Sophie trampled on his heart, did you think about today? He owes your family nothing." Sophie shrieked from the side. "You little bitch, stop playing nice. You've been trying to steal him all along, haven't you?" Enraged, the mother lunged forward, swinging a sharp slap aimed right at Victoria's face, but Carl was faster. He caught the old woman's wrist in midair and shoved her back several steps. The police cleared the room, dragging Sophie away while her mother wailed her name and her father pounded the floor. The party was a total disaster, but the family's nightmare wasn't over. The waiter walked over with a massive bill. "Excuse me, who is paying?" The greedy aunts and uncles immediately flipped, muttering, "This has nothing to do with us." They stuffed expensive liquor and crab legs into their bags, fleeing the scene like rats. The brother-in-law had the nerve to point at Carl. "You are the husband, you pay." Carl scoffed. "Whoever ordered it pays." He turned and walked out. The waiter slammed the receipt in front of the parents. "Sir, you ordered this. Pay up before you leave." The old couple stared at the astronomical total, completely paralyzed. Carl walked out of the hotel with Rachel, heading toward his multi-million-dollar ride, when Victoria rushed up, holding the car door open. "Mr. Vance, wait, please, I need to talk to you." Carl rolled down the window. Victoria looked down, biting her lip. "I am so sorry about my family." Carl cut her off gently. "You don't need to apologize for them." Victoria hesitated, her face flushing as she made a request. "Could you do me a favor? I want to cut ties with this family completely, but my mother will make a scene and never let me leave. Could you pretend to date me? If they think I've landed a billionaire, they won't dare stop me." Carl looked at her with an amused smile. "You know I just got out of prison, right? And you still want to use me as a shield?" Victoria looked up, her eyes bright. "I trust who you really are." A flicker of admiration crossed Carl's eyes. He handed her a business card. "Tomorrow at 3, the Empire Hotel, room 903. Let's see how serious you are." With that, the luxury car sped off, but don't mistake Victoria for a helpless lamb. Here comes the real twist. Inside the car, Rachel expressed doubt, suspecting Victoria was just another gold digger. Carl took a drag from his cigarette and smirked. "Gold digger? Those plain sneakers she is wearing are a custom edition worth at least 30 grand. He ordered Rachel to dig into her background immediately. Outside the hotel, Victoria stood on the red carpet. Her innocent look vanished, replaced by the icy aura of a corporate queen. Her secretary stepped up respectfully. "Boss, the family can't clear the bill. Should we let them go?" Victoria spat out coldly. "Take legal action, sue them, tell them every penny must be paid back." Staring at Carl's card, a powerful smirk crossed her lips. Anyone who messed with her Carl was going down. Turns out, she was the true mastermind behind Chicago's entire business empire. Cut to the visitation room at Detroit Central Prison. Zack, now in a prison jumpsuit, was on the phone behind the glass. On the other end was the scarred underground boss of Chicago. "Marcus says Scarface is Vance." Scarface dragged on his cigarette, mocking him. "Zack, how did you screw up this badly? Carl just got out, and you got thrown right in." Desperate to survive, Zack desperately lied to kiss up to Scarface. "Boss, Carl is the one who actually targeted your sister. He framed me. If you bail me out, my life is yours. I know all his secrets and businesses. I'll help you crush him." Scarface's eyes went cold as he agreed. As the guards led Zack away, a sinister smile crept across his face, thinking Carl was a dead man walking, but they were completely outmatched by Carl. Back in his luxury penthouse office, Rachel asked, "Carl, it happened exactly as you predicted. Scarface actually bailed Zack out. We went through all that trouble to lock Zack up, so why let Scarface bail him out?" Carl calmly sipped his tea, looking at a notification on his phone showing a wire transfer of $100 million from Detroit National Bank, labeled Gold Restitution. Carl smirked. If Scarface wants to free Zack, he has to cover that $100 million deficit. "First, anyone who steals from me will pay back 100-fold. Rachel gasped, bursting into laughter. "Carl, you are a genius." Scarface still has no idea that the real culprit who hurt his sister was Zack all along. Imagine his face when he finds out he spent $100 million just to bail out his sister's abuser. He is going to lose his mind. Carl's eyes turned sharp as a hawk. Anyone who dared cross him was about to step into a living hell of their own making.